Championship is on the line, and right now it's anybody's ball game. It's within the grasp of the Georgia Bulldogs as they lead it by a score of 2-1 going to the 7th. And here to take us home and do not let us down, here's Matt Stewart.
All right, Scott, you have a weak heart, you need to leave the room. Georgia leads by a score of 2-1 as we go to the top of the 7th. It's roll age time. We are on the edge. It's within Georgia's grasp, but it's also within Oklahoma State's grasp. It's anybody's contest. Right now, Georgia leads by 1 as we go to the top of the 7th. Oklahoma State won a national championship back in 1959. They've been to 5 championship games since and have come up empty. Actually 4. This is their 5th, and we hope they come up empty again. This is Georgia's first ever national championship game, only the second time they've ever made it to the College World Series. Ray Suplee to lead things off for Georgia here in the top of the 7th. He's 0 for 2 this afternoon. Burbank looks in the pitch. Popped him up on the right side. First baseman chases. Right fielder comes in near the line. Foul territory over near the bullpen. Makes the grab, and there's 1 down. First out of the inning, a pop-up in foul territory on the right field side. 1 down for the catcher, Terry Childers. Remember, stay with us immediately following the conclusion of this contest. Scott Howard will be down on the field talking live with some of our stars of the game. Perhaps the whole team, whoever you can get a hold of, and also we'll be hooking up with the public address announcer Jack Payne here at Rosenblatt Stadium for the presentation of the National Championship Award. Hopefully it'll be in Georgia's hands. Georgia leading Oklahoma State 2-1. Terry Childers stands in, and the first pitch to him is a strike on the outside corner, and the count is 0-1. Childers is 1 for 2 this afternoon, singled and scored in the 5th after grounding out in the 3rd. Burbank, 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball swung through and missed, and the count is 0-2. Both pitchers have pitched very, very well this afternoon. No balls and 2 strikes. Burbank gets the sign, lines and pitches. Missed the outside corner. The count is 1-2. Dave Fleming has stopped throwing in the Georgia bullpen. I don't know whether that means he's going to come in and pitch in the 7th or not, but they might go to it. 1-2 pitch. Missed inside. Counts now 2-2. Activity continues down in the Oklahoma State bullpen. A right and a left-hander. I believe Revis continues to throw. 2-2 pitches hit right back up the middle. That's a base hit for Terry Childers as he rounds first. Takes a wide turn and he'll go back. So another hit for Terry Childers. And he is 2 for 3 in this championship game. And he is now 8 for 17 in the College World Series, just under 500. He got a vote from me for the College World Series all-tournament team, and it brings up the second baseman, Joey Alfonso. Pitch to Alfonso, hit towards the hole. The shortstop backhands, goes to second for 1 on the first. They won't get Alfonso, a speedy second baseman going down that first base line. So Alfonso reaches on the fielder's choice as Childers is thrown out going to second, and there's 2 down on the inning for the leadoff hitter in the Georgia order, the center fielder McKay Smith. Terry Childers in as the designated hitter on that College World Series all-tournament team. You could do that although he was not the DH. You just couldn't ignore what the Oklahoma State catcher, Michael Daniel, has done in this College World Series, although he is hitless this afternoon. He'd hit 3 home runs and driven in 9 runs. Now a conference at the mound, and they're going to be a pitching change right here. That's going to be all for Burbank. So suddenly they're out of the dugout as Gary Ward, and there's going to be a pitching change here in the top of the 7th. New pitcher coming in will be a left-hander. Let's take a 60-second break. You're listening to Bulldog Baseball on the Georgia Network. New pitcher for the Cowboys of Oklahoma State is left-hander Richie Moody, freshman out of Dayton, Ohio, a 6'1", 170-pounder. Moody on the season is 6-2 with 2 saves. This will be his 24th appearance, all in relief, a 4.04 ERA. He's worked 42 and a third innings, allowing 39 hits. He has walked 30, and he has struck out 48. Moody in the College World Series has pitched an inning and 2/3, allowing no runs on no hits. He walked 1, and he struck out 2 in that appearance, and was not involved in the decision. So Burbank leaves here in the top of the 7th. He tossed 82 pitches, 52 strikes, and 30 were balls. And he leaves with Joey Alfonso on first and 2 down here in the top of the 7th. So he goes 6 2/3 innings. The line not yet complete on Dennis Burbank. So Richie Moody, the new pitcher for Oklahoma State, here in the top of the 7th with 2 down. And back around to the top of the order for the Georgia Bulldogs, McKay Smith. To bat, he is 1 for 3 on the afternoon, doubled in the 5th, flew out in the 1st, and grounded out in the 3rd. Moody at the belt, looks over at first, and the pitch to McKay Smith, a fastball that misses high, and the count is 1-0 to McKay Smith. 2 down in the inning, a runner aboard for the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia leads Oklahoma State 2-1 in the top of the 7th of this national championship contest. Throw over to first, and Joey Alfonso is back. Alfonso, Georgia's stolen base leader with 9 in 11 attempts. Moody gets the sign, and the 1-0 pitch swung through and missed, and the count is 1-1 to McKay Smith. Georgia, their 2 runs on 6 hits. They've committed 1 error. And they have stranded 4. Oklahoma State, their 1 run on 3 hits. They've committed no errors, and they have stranded 4 as well. Moody looks over at first, and the 1-1 pitch fouled sharply into the Oklahoma State dugout. I think it might have hit Burbank, or he just did get out of the way, and the count is 1-2. I think he just did get out of the way.
Yeah, he's smiling about it, but he avoided the foul ball.
So Burbank just got more action there than he got in the field. One ball and 2 strikes, 2 down. Moody at the belt, looks over at first, and the pitch with the runner going, called strike 3, and the inning is over. So McKay Smith goes down looking for Moody, his first strikeout, 3rd for Oklahoma State pitching. We played 6.5 from Omaha. It's Georgia 2, Oklahoma State 1. A 60-second break. You're listening to Bulldog Baseball on the Georgia Network. The final line on Dennis Burbank, he goes 6 2/3 innings. He allowed 2 runs, both earned. He gave up 6 hits. He walked 1, he hit a batter, and he struck out 2. Georgia picks up another hit in that 7th inning, but they do nothing as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Georgia leading Oklahoma State by a score of 2-1 in this national championship contest. And Stan Payne still on the mound for the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia has now stranded 5 runners in this contest, but they still hold a 1-run lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th, and the designated hitter Brian Kelly due up for the Cowboys, as is Steve Daly and Danny Perez. Dave Fleming goes back down to the Georgia bullpen, along with catcher Tommy Owen, and they continue to work here as we start the bottom of the 7th. No activity in the Oklahoma State bullpen right now, although they've got about 4 or 5 pitchers sitting down there. Tommy Owen, by the way, a draft pick of the Atlanta Braves earlier this week in the late round. First pitch from Stan Payne to Kelly, misses low, and the count is 1-0. Kelly is 1 for 2 this afternoon, picked up Oklahoma State's first hit of the afternoon in the 2nd, and then struck out in the 5th. 1-0 pitch. Ground ball hit down the line by Cooper's diving glove. Kelly rounds first. He trips and falls down. Saplee loses the ball down in the corner, and Kelly's still going to make it into second with a stand-up double. So Brian Kelly leads off the bottom of the 7th with a stand-up double, and that might be all for Stan Payne. The entire Georgia dugout looking down at Dave Fleming to see if he's ready. And he just got the signal from grad assistant coach Mike Hawkins that Dave Fleming is ready. The conference going on the mound right now between Stan Payne, Terry Childers, and Joey Alfonso. And now home plate umpire Dick Runche goes out there to break it up. Kelly is down at second with the double. Steve Daly, the left fielder, coming to the plate with nobody down here in the bottom of the 7th, the tying run in scoring position. They may wait for them to announce Daly, and that's going to be it. Let's see if here comes Steve Weber, and that's going to be it for Stan Payne, I do believe. They announced Steve Daly as the left fielder, and this may be all for Stan Payne, who's pitched a brilliant game here in the national championship contest. But as we've seen him do so often this season, he starts to run out of gas about the 6th and 7th inning. Now, Steve Weber's out there talking with him. There's been no indication as of yet as to whether he's going to go to his bullpen, but this is probably just a delay tactic by Steve Weber to give Dave Fleming just a few more tosses in that bullpen. Here comes Dick Runche out to the mound. Steve Weber looks down that way, and he just gave the sign for Dave Fleming. We have a pitching change. Stan Payne walks off the hill to a standing ovation from the Georgia faithful. And Dave Fleming, Georgia's ace, coming in out of the pen. Georgia leads Oklahoma State 2-1 here in the bottom of the 7th. A 60-second timeout. You're listening to Bulldog Baseball on the Georgia Network. The new pitcher for the Georgia Bulldogs, the junior left-hander Dave Fleming, the third-round draft pick of the Seattle Mariners earlier this week. And a third-team coaches All-America selection, also a Baseball America third-team selection. Dave Fleming comes in relief in the national championship game. Fleming in the College World Series has pitched 2 games, both of them starts and both of them complete games. He's 1-1. He beat Mississippi State in the opener and then lost to Stanford on Wednesday night. He has an ERA of 2 in the College World Series. He posted 1 shutout. That was against Mississippi State. He's worked 18 innings, allowed only 10 hits. 4 runs, all 4 earned, 4 walks, and 16 strikeouts. Opponents hitting only 167 against Dave Fleming in the College World Series. Stan Payne retires for the afternoon. He worked into the 7th. He threw 91 pitches. 59 of them were strikes, and 32 of them were balls. So Fleming will face Steve Daly here with a runner at second and nobody down. Fleming also will go along with his 12-6 record, has 1 save on the season. That came against Clemson. First pitch to Daly. This is low, and the count is 1-0. Daly is 0 for 2 this afternoon. Flew out to McKay Smith in the 2nd. Flew out in foul territory to Bruce Chick in the 5th. So Fleming is on for Georgia here in the bottom of the 7th. He's at the belt. And the 1-0 pitch. Swung on, missed. And the count is 1-1. As I mentioned, Fleming's only save this season came against Clemson. And this is only his second relief appearance of the year. Record of 12-6, an ERA of 2.92. He's at the belt, and the 1-1 pitch. Missed high, the count is 2-1. Fleming this season, with 13 complete games and 2 shutouts, he's worked 157 in a third innings, allowing 133 hits. He walked 54 and struck out 159 for the season. Opponents batting only .228 against him. That's the lowest among Georgia pitchers on the staff. Kelly is down at second. He doubled against Stan Payne. Fleming now on. 2 balls, 1 strike, and the pitch. Swung on, missed. The count is 2-2. Danny Perez stands on deck for Oklahoma State. Georgia's lead is 2-1 here in the bottom of the 7th of the national championship game of collegiate baseball. Fleming on for Payne in a jam here in the bottom of the 7th. Runner in scoring position, nobody down. He looks in. And the 2-2 pitch. Ground ball hit by Fleming's glove to Showalter. He gloves it, throws to first, and there's 1 down as Kelly advances to third on the play. And there's 1 down here in the bottom of the 7th for the center fielder, Danny Perez. Had Fleming been able to get his glove on the ball, Kelly would not have been able to advance from second to third. Fleming could have looked Kelly back. But it just did miss Fleming's glove, and it got to Showalter for the first out of the inning. And now Kelly's down at third, 90 feet from scoring. A sac fly will bring him in, and it brings up the center fielder, Danny Perez, who takes the first one for a strike. And the count is 0-1. So Fleming really needs a strikeout here. Sac fly can bring him in. Fleming looks over his shoulder in the 0-1 pitch. Missed low, and the count is 1-1. Fleming pitched on Wednesday night, went the distance in that one, so he's coming back on only 2 days rest. But he's done that several times in his collegiate career with success. At the belt, 1-1 pitch. Ground ball hit to Showalter. He's going to come home with it. The throw to the plate. He's going to be out. Childers held on to it. He's out at the plate. Kelly tried to take him out of this world, but Childers held on to it. He remembered the Northeast Regional and held on to the ball. In that game against Rutgers in the Northeast Regional, in the championship round, one of the Scarlet Knights came in and knocked him out. Gave him a concussion, and he was taken out of the game. That time, Childers stood his ground as Kelly came in and lowered the shoulder and held on to the ball, and there's 2 down in the inning. So they get Kelly trying to score from third on the grounder to the shortstop, J.R. Showalter, and there's 2 down in the inning. As Perez reaches on the fielder's choice, and Georgia may have dodged a bullet here in the bottom of the 7th, although the inning's not over, and Childers is going to take a few tosses from Dave Fleming, and he throws it over Fleming's head. This is what happened against Rutgers. When he got hit, they threw it, and then he throws it back over Fleming's head. I think maybe now he's just throwing it to Alfonso now, I think. And for a minute, I thought it was Rutgers all over again, because that's what happened in the Northeast Regional game.
The trainer, Jeff Chambers, is out to take a look at Childers to make sure he's okay. And like he said in the Rutgers game, after he was creamed at the plate, he got a few warm-up throws, and about 3 or 4 times in a row, he missed throwing it back to the pitcher, and it went over the head and into the center field. And this time, Alfonso was standing behind Fleming, and From our angle, it's tough to tell if he was intentionally throwing to him, but I think he was because Alfonso was back close to the bag.
The first time he did it, I wondered. The second time, it kind of dawned on him. Perhaps he is throwing to Alfonso. So Georgia may have dodged a bullet here. They're looking at Childers' right hand. But Jeff Chambers, the Georgia trainer, says he's okay. Or Childers tells Chambers he's okay. Childers is going to stay in there. So there's 2 down here in the bottom of the 7th. And Greg Wahlberg is going to stand in for Oklahoma State. Wahlberg pinch hit for Manny Cervantes in the 5th inning and struck out. So he's 0 for 1. Fleming throws over to first, and Perez is back. Kelly led off the inning with a double, went to third on the ground out to Showalter after Fleming came in. Payne had allowed the double. And then Perez hit the ball to the shortstop, J.R. Showalter, and they got Kelly at the plate. First pitch to Wahlberg is a strike, and the count is 0-1. So a big defensive play for Terry Childers and J.R. Showalter. Throw over the snap throw, and Perez is back.
The put out at the plate by Kelly eases Payne's mind a little bit. He's out of the woods now. He cannot lose this ball game. He stands to be the winner at this moment.
0-1 pitch. Missed outside, and the count is 1-1. Kelly looks in, or rather Fleming looks in. Kelly was thrown out of the plate. Wahlberg digs in. Throw over again. And Perez is back easily. Just a snap throw over. Perez did not have a big lead. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 down. Fleming looks in. And the pitch with the runner going. That's line down the line, but foul in right field. And the count is going to be 1-2 to Wahlberg. And Perez has to go back. So Oklahoma State tries a little hit and run here in the bottom of the 7th. They're going to go back and have to try it again. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Georgia leading Oklahoma State 2-1 in the national championship game of collegiate baseball. Throw over to first, and Perez is back. Fleming looks in. And the 1-2 pitch. Swung on this, he struck him out. So Fleming with a big strikeout here. Fleming comes on in relief of Stan Payne here in the bottom of the 7th and works out of a jam. We played 7 complete from Omaha. Georgia 2 innings away from a national championship. Georgia leading Oklahoma State 2-1. 60-second break. You're listening to Bulldog Baseball on the Georgia Network. We go to the top of the 8th. Jeff Cooper, J.R. Showalter, Brian Jester due up for the Dogs. Georgia leading by a score of 2-1. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to Bulldog Baseball on the Georgia Network. So Cooper comes to the plate for Georgia. He is 1 for 2 on the afternoon, lined out in the first. The shortstop walked and scored in the 4th. Scored Georgia's first run and knocked in a run. Georgia's second run in the 5th with a single. Richie Moody on for Oklahoma State. He came in for Dennis Burbank in the 7th inning and got the final out. Dave Fleming on for Stan Payne here. He came in the 7th and got the 3 outs after Payne had allowed a leadoff double to start the 7th inning. But Burbank and Payne are the pitchers of record right now. Jeff Cooper stands in for Georgia as we go to the top of the 8th. Moody into his windup, and the pitch to Cooper. Missed inside, and the count is 1-0. It's been a great national championship game, really, for both teams. It's just been a super game for college baseball. 1-0, popped him up on the right side. First baseman Cam Sunder in foul territory now. Wahlberg has it. And there's 1 down here in the top of the 8th. It's going to bring up the shortstop, J.R. Showalter. Showalter is 2 for 3 this afternoon. Singled in the first, singled in the fourth. Hit into a 6-3 double play in the fifth. One ball, no strikes, the windup and the pitch. Missed inside, the count is now 2-0. Showalter digs in, 2 balls, no strikes, 1 down here, top of the 8th. Moody lines and delivers. 2-0 is popped back up this way over our heads. High atop Rosenblatt Stadium, count is now 2-1. A lovely day for baseball in America's heartland, Omaha. 2 balls and 1 strike. Moody kicks and fires. Missed low and away. The count's now 3-1 to J.R. Showalter. The 44th annual College World Series. And they've held the game here at Millennium. 3-1, lined into left field. Will it fall? The left fielder charges and makes the play. Daly comes on for the grab. And there's 2 down here in the top of the 8th. It was hit hard by Showalter, but it stayed up there just too long. And there's 2 down for the designated hitter, Brian Jester. Jester is 0 for 2 in this contest. Has flown out to the right fielder twice in the first and in the 6th. He was also hit by a pitch in the 4th. So Jester is 2 for 19 in the College World Series. First pitch to him misses outside, and the count is 1-0. Remember, stay with us after this contest. We're not done. We'll be down on the field live. Scott Howard will be talking with our stars of the game. Also, the awards ceremony will take place. 1-0 pitch. Missed low, and the count is 2-0. One of these teams will get that national championship trophy. And we certainly hope Georgia is the one carrying it in the game. Moody, 2-0 pitch to Jester. Popped out of play on the right side. Count now 2-1 to Brian Jester. Bruce Chick stands on deck for Georgia. He bats if Jester can reach. Activity continues in the Oklahoma State bullpen. 2 right-handers now. Revis is 1. Can't get a number on that other one. 2-1 pitch. Hit foul down the right field side again, well out of play, and the count's going to be 2-2 to Brian Jester. Moody off the rubber as Jester steps out of the box.
The other right-hander warming up in the pen is Brad Gore.
2-2 pitch. Missed outside, count now full to Brian Jester, 3-2. 2 down here, top of the 8th. Cooper and Showalter have been retired here in the inning, and Jester stands in, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Moody into the windup and the payoff pitch. Missed low, and Jester is aboard with a free pass. That'll be the first walk issued by Moody, only the second by Oklahoma State pitchers. And Jester is aboard for the right fielder, Bruce Chick. By the way, the final line on Stan Payne, he goes 6+ innings, allowing a run. It was earned, 4 hits, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. So Chick stands in. Chick is 0 for 2 this afternoon. Had a sac fly RBI in the 4th, knocking in Georgia's first run. Throw to first, and it gets by the first baseman. Jester's headed to second. It rolls all the way down into the corner. Jester's heading for third, and he's going to be in there. He rounds third, and he's going to hold up as the throw comes off the mark. But the pitcher, Moody, is there, and Jester is at third base. There was a tangle-up between Jester and Wahlberg at first base, or perhaps Jester might have scored. They kind of clashed shoulders and were just kind of there in a deadlock for a good second and a half, and Jester couldn't get around him, but also Wahlberg couldn't get to the ball either. And it rolled all the way down in the corner over there, and Jester's going to be at third base, and here comes Gary Ward out of the dugout to talk with his pitcher, Richie Moody, and let's see what happens. That'll be an error on the pitcher as he threw it away. For Moody, that is his first error of the College World Series. And his first of the season. Conference going on the Oklahoma State mound right now. Jester's down at third with 2 down, and this would be a big run. Georgia leads by a lone digit, 2-1 here in the top of the 8th. But there are 2 down, and the conference breaks up, and Moody's still on the hill. So Jester is down at third base. He walked and then reached third on that 2-base throwing error on the pickoff move by the pitcher, Richie Moody. You hear the chant go up here from the Georgia faithful, UGA. They won a victory. Chick digs in. The first pitch to him misses outside, and the count is 1-0 to Bruce Chick. Chick grounded out to the shortstop from the second, had that sacrifice RBI in the fourth to left field, and then popped up to the shortstop in shallow left field in the 6th inning. The 1-0 from Moody. Missed outside, or rather they called that a strike on the outside corner, and the count is 1-1. So Chick stands in with Jester down at third base, 90 feet from scoring, but there are 2 down here in the top of the 8th. The sign is given, and the 1-1 pitch. That missed the outside corner, and the count is 2-1. Dick Runshie calling the balls and strikes this afternoon. In this national championship game, we have a 6-man crew for the title contest. We've had 4 for the rest of them. Moody, the 2-1 pitch. On the outside corner with the fastball for a strike, and the count now 2-2 to Bruce Chick, who has not swung the bat at this time to the plate. Jester's down at third. He walked and then got 2 bases on the error by the pitcher trying to pick him off. Chick trying to bring him home. Georgia leads by a run. It's 2-1. 2-2 pitch. Swung on, fouled off. Count remains 2-2 to Bruce Chick. Doug Rajevich stands on deck for Georgia. He bats if Chick can keep the inning alive. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 down. Jester takes his lead at third. Chick digs in. Moody into the windup and the pitch. Swung on this, he struck him out. So Moody comes up with a big strikeout here in the top of the 8th to end the inning with Jester standing at third. We played 7.5 from Omaha. It's Georgia 2. Oklahoma State 1, a 60-second timeout. You're listening to Bulldog Baseball on the Georgia Network. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Mitch Simmons, Bobby Carlson, and Brad Beanblossom due up for Oklahoma State. The numbers 1, 2, and 3 hitters in the Oklahoma State order. Georgia holding on to a slim 1-run advantage here in the bottom of the 8th. Georgia leading by a score of 2-1 for Georgia. 2 runs on 6 hits. They've stranded 6. They've committed 1 error. Oklahoma State, 1 run on 4 hits. They've committed an error, and they have stranded 5. Dave Fleming on in relief of Stan Payne, who did a masterful job this afternoon. The freshman took the hill, got the call from head coach Steve Weber, and did a great job for Georgia, going 6+, allowing that 1 run on just 4 hits. And he also struck out 6 while walking 3. So Mitch Simmons to lead things off here for Oklahoma State in the bottom of the 8th. Simmons is 1 for 2 this afternoon, walked in the first, hit into a 6-4-3 double play in the third, singled and scored Oklahoma State's only run in the 6th. Fleming into the windup in the first pitch to Simmons is taken high, and the count is 1-0. Simmons was choking up on the bat like he might try to squeeze a bunt down, or lay a bunt down, rather. The count is 1-0. Fleming winds and pitches. That's a strike, and the count is 1-1. Simmons, a junior out of Midwest City, Oklahoma, the MVP of the West 2 Regional. 1-1 pitch. In there for a strike, and the count is 1-2. .349 hitter on the season, 11 homers and 58 RBI. Fleming looks in. And the 1-2 pitch. Lined over the glove of Joey Alfonso into center field at the base hit. So Simmons reaches with a base hit here to lead off the bottom of the 8th, and it brings up the third baseman, Bobby Carlson. So Carlson digs in. He is 0 for 3 this afternoon. Lined into a double play in the first. Throw over to first, and Simmons is back. He struck out in the third, and he flew out to center field in the 6th. First pitch to him, taken for a strike, and the count is 0-1. He squared the bunt, trying to move Simmons into scoring position, but pulled back and took it for a strike, and the count is 0-1. Cooper and Rajevitz charged from the corners. No balls, 1 strike. No out. Throw over to first, and Simmons is back. It's just a snap throw. Sometimes, if you can get him leaning too far, that snap throw works for Fleming. 0-1. He lays down the bunt. Cooper charges, looks to second, throws to first, and there's 1 down. The sacrifice works. Cooper looked that way, but he had to go to first with it. And there's 1 down here in the bottom of the 8th, but Simmons moves into scoring position for the shortstop, Brad Beanblossom. Beanblossom is 1 for 3 this afternoon. Singled his last time up. Fleming looks in. At the belt, looks back at second, and the pitch. That missed outside, and the count is 1-0.
Head coach Gary Ward playing the percentages here in the 8th inning with Beanblossom at the plate, moving the runner over to second. Beanblossom has 7 runs batted in the College World Series.
Fleming looks in. The 1-0 pitch. In there for Mike, and the count is 1-1 to Beanblossom. Michael Daniel, the most dangerous hitter in the Oklahoma State order, stands on deck. 1 down. Simmons is down at second. He represents the squad that reached the national game of his collegiate career with Oklahoma State. A senior, the lone member of this Oklahoma State team to play on the 1987 squad that reached the national championship game and lost to Stanford. Fleming, 2-1 pitch. Missed inside. The count is 3-1 to Beanblossom. Beanblossom gets back in the box. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 down, a runner down at second. Fleming looks back that way and pitches. Swung on, fouled off, and the count full to Beanblossom, 3-2. As Fleming takes a walk behind the mound. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 down. Down at second is Simmons. Fleming looks in. He's at the belt, looks back, and the payoff pitch. Missed high, he walks it. That That is the first walk issued by Dave Fleming since coming on in relief of Stan Payne. That is the fourth walk by the two Georgia pitchers. And there's runners at first and second for Oklahoma State, and the catcher Michael Daniel comes up for the Cowboys. He is 0 for 2 this afternoon, but did have a sac fly RBI in the sixth. First pitch to him misses outside, and the count is 1-0. Bean Blossoms down at first, and Simmons is at second. There's one down. 1-0 pitch. Ground ball, hit to Showalter, goes to second one, on to first. Double play! The double play to get out of the inning. Fleming dodges the bullet, and Georgia will go to the ninth with a 2-1 lead. 6-4-3. The inning is over. We go to the ninth. It's Georgia 2, Oklahoma State 1. A 60-second break. You're listening to Bulldog Baseball on the Georgia Network. We go to the top of the ninth. Doug Rajevitz, Ray Suplee, Terry Childers due up for Georgia. Georgia 3 outs away from their first ever national championship. Fleming got the number 4 hitter in the Oklahoma State order, Michael Daniel, the most dangerous hitter in the Cowboys lineup, to hit into a 6-4-3 double play in a first and second situation and one down to get out of the bottom of the eighth. He came in as Georgia's leading hitter in the College World Series, batting .429, but he is now 6 for 17 in the College World Series, and that still isn't too shabby. He flew out to right field his last time up, grounded out to the second baseman his first time out, and struck out in the fourth. He's hit safely in all but 11 games for Georgia this season. Top of the ninth, Georgia leading Oklahoma State by a score of 2-1 in what has been a thrilling ball game. Win or lose, it's been a great ball game. Georgia's 2 runs on 6 hits. Oklahoma State's 1 run on 5 hits. Rajevitz finally digs in. And the pitch from Moody. On the outside corner for a strike, and the count is 0-1. Rajevitz, the junior out of Somerville, New Jersey. 0-1 pitch. Ground ball hit to the second baseman. Up with it and throwing is Simmons. And there's one down here in the top of the ninth. It'll bring up the left fielder, Ray Suplee. Remember, stay with us. Immediately following the conclusion of this contest, Scott Howard will be down on the field talking live with our stars of the game. Perhaps we'll even get to chat with Steve Weber. We'll have to wait and see. First pitch to Ray Suplee. The strike and the count is 0-1. It's not that Steve doesn't talk to us. It's just that the NCAA has it set up so that local radio crews have a hard time getting to the head coach. 0-1. Missed low and away, and the count is 1-1. Also, we'll be hooking up with Jack Payne, the public address announcer here at Rosenblatt Stadium for the awards ceremony. Ray Suplee, 1-1 pitch. Missed low, and the count is 2-1. Before we go off the air, we'll try to find out what the arrangements are as far as what flight Georgia will be coming in on tomorrow. It'll be around 4 o'clock, and I believe it's a Delta flight, but I don't have the number. 2 balls and 1 strike. I know a lot of you fans, especially in the Atlanta area, will want to get out and cheer on the Georgia Bulldogs as they come in from Omaha, win or lose. It's been a great season, the greatest in University of Georgia baseball history. 2 balls, 1 strike. One down here in the top of the ninth. Georgia leading Oklahoma State by a score of 2-1. Moody delivers to Suplee. This is high and tight. The count's 3-1 to Suplee. Moody looks in. 3-1 pitch. Line down the line in left field, but it's going to hook foul. And the count's going to be 3-2 to Ray Suplee. He got all of that one, got around on it just a little bit too much and hooked it foul down the left field line. And he'll go back to the box with a 3-2 count. Terry Childers standing on deck for Georgia with one down here in the top of the ninth. Payoff pitch to Suplee. Missed outside, he walked it. So Suplee is aboard here with one down in the top of the ninth. That'll be the second walk given up by Moody, the third by Oklahoma State pitchers. And it brings up the catcher, Terry Childers. Childers is an incredible 2 for 3 this afternoon. Grounded out in the third, singled and scored in the fifth, and singled in the seventh. First pitch to Childers misses high. The count is 1-0. Childers batting just under .500 for the College World Series. Moody at the belt. 1-0 pitch to Childers. He fouled it back, and the count is 1-1. One down here, top of the ninth. Georgia leading Oklahoma State 2-1 in the national championship contest. Dogs with a runner aboard. Suplee walked, and now Childers is in there with a count of 1-1. Moody looks in, throws that way. 1-1 misses high, and the count is 2-1 to Terry Childers. Joey Alfonso stands on deck for Georgia. Few clouds move in here in Omaha, but nothing serious. 2-1 pitch. At missed high, it's now 3-1 to Terry Childers. Takes a long look down at head coach Steve Weber. He goes through a litany of signs, which probably said take it. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 down. Moody at the belt. And the pitch. Swung on, fouled back. Count full to Terry Childers, 3-2. Activity continues in the Oklahoma State bullpen. A right-hander up and throwing. I think it's still Raven. 1 down, and the 3-2 pitch to Childers. Swung on this, he struck him out. So 2 down here in the top of the ninth. For Moody, that is his third strikeout, the 5th for Oklahoma State pitchers, and there's 2 down for the second baseman, Joey Alfonso. So Alfonso will step in.
That is Gore, Brad Gore, down in the bullpen. He's warming for the second or third time in the late innings here.
Moody looks over at first, and the pitch to Alfonso misses high and away, and the count is 1-0. Joey is 0 for 3 this afternoon. Grounded out, a little play right in front of the plate, struck out and reached on a fielder's choice. Moody looks over at first, and the 1-0 to Alfonso. On the outside corner for a strike, and the count is 1-1. Matt Stewart along with Scott Howard. Top of the ninth, national championship game of collegiate baseball. Georgia leads 2-1. 1-1 pitch, fouled back this way. And the count is 1-2 to Joey Alfonso. McKay Smith stands on deck. But he bats only if Joey can reach. Moody looks in, shakes off a couple of signs, looks over at first, and the 1-2 pitch. Line down the right field line, but it's going to be fouled. And the count remains 1-2 to Joey Alfonso. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 out here, top of the ninth. Georgia holding on to a 2-1 lead on Oklahoma State. 1-2 pitch. Missed high. It's 2-2 to Joey Alfonso. Moody looks in. And the 2-2 pitch. Swung on, fouled back, and the count remains 2-2 to Joey Alfonso. The pressure has to be tremendous on these players. Because I feel it on me, and all I'm doing is calling the game. It's got to be tremendous. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. And here's the pitch. Called strike 3, struck him out. Moody picks up his 4th strikeout. And we go to the bottom of the ninth, folks. Georgia, 3 outs away from a national championship. It's Georgia 2, Oklahoma State 1, a 60-second break. You're listening to Bulldog Baseball on the Georgia Network. We go to the bottom of the ninth. Georgia leading Oklahoma State by a score of 2-1. Dave Fleming on the mound for Georgia. Due up for Oklahoma State is Jeremy Burnett, Brian Kelly, and Steve Daly. The Dogs just 3 outs away from winning a national championship. Jeremy Burnett will lead things off for Oklahoma State. He is 0 for 2 this afternoon. He walked in the second, struck out in the fourth, and grounded out in the sixth. So Burnett comes to the plate. 0 for 2 on the afternoon. Fleming looks in. The wind and the pitch. In there for a strike, and the count is 1-0. Fleming into his windup, and the 0-1 pitch. Missed outside. The count is 1-1 to Jeremy Burnett. Stay with us. Scott Howard will be down live on the field talking with our stars of the game. 1-1. Missed high. The count is now 2-1 to Burnett. Fleming looks in, and the 2-1 pitch. Swung on this. The count is 2-2 to Jeremy Burnett. Two balls, 2 strikes, nobody down here in the bottom of the ninth. Georgia holding on to a 2-1 advantage on Oklahoma State in the national championship contest. 2-2 pitch. Called strike 3. Georgia's 2 outs away. For Fleming, strikeout number 2. And the Dogs are 2 outs away from the national championship. It's going to bring up the designated hitter, Brian Kelly. Kelly stands in. He is 2 for 3 this afternoon. Singled in the second, doubled in the seventh. First pitch to him. Misses outside, and the count is 1-0. He also struck out in the fifth. 1 ball, no strikes. And the pitch. Missed low, and the count's now 2-0. Fleming, 2-0 pitch. Fouled right back up this way, and the count is 2-1 to Brian Kelly. Fleming looks in. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 down, and the pitch. In there for a strike, and the count is 2-2. Georgia 2 outs away from the national championship. Fleming into the windup in the 2-2 pitch. Swung on, and it's fouled off, and the count remains 2-2. He got a piece of it. Count remains 2-2 to Brian Kelly. And Fleming looks in. The 2-2 pitch. Swung on, missed. Ball got away from Childers, and they're 1 out away from the national championship. Brian Kelly goes down swinging. And the Georgia Bulldogs are 1 out away from a national championship. 2 down here in the bottom of the 9th, and it brings up the left fielder, Steve Daly, unless we have a pinch hitter. Daly's going to talk with his head coach, Gary Ward, for a moment before walking into the box. Fleming has recorded 2 strikeouts here in the bottom of the 9th. Georgia leads Oklahoma State by a score of 2-1 in the NCAA National Championship game of collegiate baseball. Daly gets set to dig in. Georgia's lead is 1 run. Fleming on in relief of Stan Payne, who stands to win it. First pitch. Missed high. The count is 1-0 to Steve Daly. Danny Perez stands on deck for the Cowboys. Fleming would just as soon not ever see him. There's 2 down here in the bottom of the 9th. 1-0 pitch. Called strike, and the count is 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 down here, bottom of the 9th. Fleming looking in. Daly steps out of the box for just a moment. Now digs back in. Fleming, the 1-1 pitch. Swung on, missed. The count is 1-2. The Dogs are 1 strike away from a national championship. And Daly takes a walk outside the batter's box. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out here in the bottom of the 9th. He digs in, asks the umpire to hold things up for just a second, and here's the 1-2 pitch. Called strike 3! The Georgia Bulldogs have won the national championship! And Fleming is mobbed! The Georgia Bulldogs have defeated Oklahoma State 2-1 to win the national championship of collegiate baseball. Dave Fleming strikes out the side in the bottom of the 9th. The Georgia Bulldogs win the national championship of collegiate baseball. 2-1 winners over Oklahoma State in a pitcher's duel here at Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha. Dave Fleming strikes out the side in the bottom of the 9th and gets the save in relief of Stan Payne, who started this game. The freshman started the game and pitched brilliantly for Georgia to pick up his 7th and biggest win of the season. The Georgia Bulldogs defeat Oklahoma State by a score of 2-1 to win the national championship. Georgia's 2 runs on 6 hits. Oklahoma State's 1 run on 5. Georgia 2-1 winners over Oklahoma State as the Bulldogs have won the national championship of collegiate baseball. We'll be back for the awards ceremony following a 2-minute break. Georgia, the national championship. Sure sounds sweet, doesn't it? Back after a 2-minute break. You're listening to Bulldog Baseball on the Georgia Network. Stadium in Omaha, where the Georgia Bulldogs have won the national championship. Georgia defeats Oklahoma State by a score of 2-1 in the NCAA title game. Scott Howard is down on the field. I'm looking for him. And, Scott, I can't see you. I'm just going to ask you, do you have anybody?
Well, I'm being mobbed down here. We're on the infield, and standing by J.R. Showalter. If I can, get a few words from him. J.R., what can you say, man? The Georgia Bulldogs are national champs.
Number one, baby, national champs. That's all I can say right there. Pitchers both did a great job. Stanley, MVP. That's all I can say. Awesome. Fleming, awesome.
Payne was incredible coming in. His first appearance in the College World Series. A freshman. I mean, all the pressure in the world on his shoulders, and he withstood the pressure, pitched 6 great innings, and then Fleming came in and really shut him down.
Stanley did awesome. I mean, he went out there just like it was another ball game. I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, just came in, got his curveball for strike time taken, and started swinging at everything in the dirt. I mean, he did a perfect job. Fleming came in, everything was great. Everything was perfect, picture perfect.
Well, let me ask you this. You were drafted earlier this week in the 10th round. What are your plans? What are your future plans?
I haven't talked to anybody yet. I mean, I was just notified I was drafted. I'll have to think about that now when I go home.
Congratulations, JR. Great series.
Appreciate it.
Matt, back up to you. I'll see if I can run down somebody else.
All right, thank you very much, Scott. The Georgia Bulldogs win the national championship. They beat Oklahoma State by a score of 2-1 here in the NCAA title game. Stan Payne picks up the victory for Georgia. He is now 7-1 on the season. Dave Fleming gets the save. It'll be his second of the year. The loss goes to Oklahoma State's Dennis Burbank as he falls to 10-2 on the year. Georgia wins the national championship by a score of 2-1. And Scott, I see you now, and we're going to see if you can grab somebody in just a second.
I'm kind of waiting on Terry Childers. He's talking with a couple of folks right now. I want to grab him. Definitely one of the heroes of this ball game. And when he gets a second or two here, I'm going to see if we can get a few comments from him.
All right. The line on Stan Payne, he goes 6+ innings. He allows 1 run. It was earned. He gave up 4 hits. He walked 3. And he struck out 6. He gets the victory to improve to 7-1 on the year. Dave Fleming wins the final 3 innings, allowing no runs. He gave up only 1 hit. He walked 1, and he struck out 3. He struck out the side. He struck out the side in the 9th to preserve the victory. Let's go back down to Scott.
Okay, Matt, down here with Terry Childers, definitely one of the heroes of the College World Series. Terry, where'd their hitting come from?
I'll save them all up for the end of the year, I think. No, I just came in. I just tried to relax and just got a few pitches I could hit, and I ended up hitting. And I think I'm a lot better hitter than I've shown all year, but I think I showed that I can do a little bit of hitting this series.
I guess you'd have to say this is definitely your shining moment in your baseball career.
Yeah, definitely. I've won 2 state championships in high school. There's nothing like winning a national championship. I mean, it hadn't even hit me yet. I don't know what to say. It hadn't hit me yet.
Well, you were behind the plate the entire College World Series. What can you say about this pitching staff? You had 4 complete games, and then you had the outing by Payne today, and Fleming comes in and gets the save. Just incredible.
All those guys just did a hell of a job. I mean, they just sucked it up, and they just did a great job. They threw strikes all the time, let the defense work, and they didn't give up that many walks. It's just a great credit to the pitchers what they did this week.
Did you ever imagine at the start of the season that you guys would be standing in Omaha national champions?
I knew we had a great team, but I mean, you never think about anything like this, even though it's your goal to win one. But it's just a dream come true. It's an unbelievable feeling right now.
Terry, it's a great series. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Terry Childers, back up to you, Matt.
All right, this is how the scoring went. Georgia got their first run in the 4th inning. Jeff Cooper led off the inning with a walk. That was followed by a single by J.R. Showalter. And then Brian Jester was hit by a pitch to load the bases. Then Bruce Chick came up and knocked a sacrifice fly RBI into left field to give Georgia a lead of 1-0. And that is how it stood up until Georgia got another run in the 5th. Terry Childers, who Scott just talked to, led off the 5th with a single. Alfonso struck out for the first out. McKay Smith doubled to make it 2nd and 3rd. And then Jeff Cooper came up with an RBI single in the 5th and gave Georgia a 2-0 lead. Oklahoma State got their lone run in this contest in the 6th inning. It was a single by Mitch Simmons to lead off the 6th inning. Bobby Carlson flew out. Bean Blossom singled. And then Michael Daniel drove in Simmons with a sacrifice RBI to right field, and that was all the scoring as Georgia defeats Oklahoma State by a score of 2-1 to win the national championship contest. Stan Payne gets the victory. He's now 7-1 on the season. Dave Fleming gets the save, his second, and Dennis Burbank takes the loss for Oklahoma State. He falls to 10-2. For the Georgia Bulldogs, their first ever national championship in their first try ever. Oklahoma State falls to 1-5 in national championship contests. Their only national championship coming in 1959, as they are going through the awards ceremony now. And they are handing out awards to the Oklahoma State players. We'll come back following this.